gamers? I'm Jayson.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be bringing you a new top 10 list. We are going to be doing this in the style of the top 10 show. A big thanks to Knost and John Rocha. They did this as a podcast. It was on Collider for a couple of years. You should definitely check them out. I'll have a link to one of their playlists down below in the video description so that you can check out their work. It'll also give you an idea as to why we decided to do this. Considering we are two hosts on the show, it just made a lot of sense. Now I want to get rid of some of the clutter in front of us. We're going to be talking about why we've got these two games and the rules for this top 10 list. So Julie, since I've been talking a whole bunch, why don't you tell everyone what we're going to be talking about today?
We're going to talk about IPs that are related to books, movies, TV shows, and not IPs related to games. So if it was an IP from a game, like this example here.
Yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons,
Cthulhu.
Shadowrun. Cthulhu's a little different, but we'll talk a little bit about that in the first, our first game discussion. But essentially the Cthulhu IP, at least for me, and I think a lot of people, is almost more associated with games now than it is with the H.P. Lovecraft series. At least that's coming from me as a board gamer. I'm sure the people that are fans of the literature associate more with the books more so than anything else. So we decided to exclude all of the Cthulhu games. I mean, you've got Fantasy Flight's whole Arkham series, which is their own IP based on Cthulhu since it's a free IP. So that's all the story. So we've got example games we'll be talking about. Is like Godzilla, Tokyo Clash, not talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. So we're going to get that off the table now, and let's go over the rules for our top 10 show. Well, we will be giving each our own top 10 list, and then we will, at the end of the show, be combining our list to create one master list of the top 10 licensed games for the Dice and Dragons channel. The way this is going to work is I'm going to give, I've been talking a lot, so ladies first. Julie will give her bottom three. I will give my bottom three. She'll give her next two. I'll give my next two. We're then going to take a break, and then we're going to go back and forth for the following five until we get to our number one. Now, if we do have a game that is further down on the other person's list, we're going to hold our discussion about it. We'll take a hold action and talk about it later. Now, if it is, for example, Julie's number 7 and my number 8, well, we're going to talk about it when it comes up so that we don't waste any time. Now that we've gone over the rules for this video, I need to take a break. So Julie, take it away.
So I am going to start with my list, and I'm going to bet that I'm not going to end up talking because I'm 99% sure that my number 10 is somewhere much higher on your list. It is Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid.
Yeah, that's way down the list. Way down the list.
I could have put it higher.
It's not morphin time yet.
I wanted to prove that it's not going to be in the number one spot. Hopefully not in the top 5 either. But
I don't know. We're gonna fight about that one.
I think we're gonna have some discussions. My number 9 is Dune Imperium.
Your number 9 is Dune Imperium. Yeah, we're not talking about that yet. Like, kick that down the list as well.
Yeah. The reason it's at my number 9 is because I'm not a huge connoisseur of that IP. I don't know it very well. I've seen some. I think I've seen a movie, haven't I?
We've watched the miniseries on Sci-Fi together. You've not seen anything else.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of it, so I can't really say that I get behind the other games.
But it's a great game. It should still be higher than some others on your list, in my opinion.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So my number 8, Back to the Future, Back in Time.
Yeah, not on my list. That one didn't make the cut.
So who's it by, Jayson, since you know all the designers?
Yes, this is by Funko Games and designed by the Prospero Hall Design Group. Now, if we ever miss anything, thank you for bringing it up, Julie, you will see it popping up in front of you on the video screen.
So the reason it's on my top 10 list and it's in number 8 position is because it does a fantastic job of adapting the IP. You really feel like you're back in time, that you are Marty McFly or Doc, and I had a lot of fun playing it, and that was a criteria for me for making it into this list. I just really enjoyed it. I love the cars. I love beating up on Biff and knocking him down a peg, time and time again, like in the movie. I like the watchtower. I like the picture. I just liked it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a great version of the movie brought to the table. They really did spend a lot of time and brought that first film to life in board game format. And while I did enjoy it, there was just a few things that didn't quite sit well with me. I didn't really like how the asymmetric powers worked. I felt that they were a little unbalanced. If you want to check out a review, you hear a lot of my similar thoughts there. And while it is a great family game, and it's something that I think we can play with anyone, and it's definitely the Back to the Future game that's going to be sticking around in our collection because I do enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. If we were doing a top 20, it'd probably be on my top 20. It just didn't make the cut for the top 10 because of a few
I'm also
things.
a bigger Back to the Future fan than you are, I think. And
yes, considering it was Back to the Future Day and she's the one that's like, it's Back to the Future Day, poking me like first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I did that, but
yes, you did.
I think that's one of the reasons why, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, but Power Rangers is a lot higher on the list just because of the love you have for Power Rangers. More, I know you love the game, but you love the game more because of the IP.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of it. Also, it's just a great game.
Yeah. So those are my bottom three. What are your bottom three?
So my bottom three, and I'm sure that this one is not on your list because it's not the kind of thing that you would, put on your list. But I think we both quite enjoyed the game, and I wanted to highlight it because it takes one of my favorite aspects, well, the only good aspect of a movie, and actually turns into a great game. I've got Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, not on my list.
Yes. Published by River Horse and designed by Team Linvander. This is Terminator Genesis Rise of the Resistance. It takes place during the first few minutes of the film when you're in the dark future. You are members of the Resistance. You're trying to infiltrate and bring down, Skynet. Well, no, that's the expansion, is Fall of Skynet. In this case, you're going to find the time machine in order to send Kyle Reese back in time to save the life of John Connor. So you get to play as the Terminator, you get to play as Kyle Reese.
Why is it on your top?
Why is it on my list? Because it is a great adaptation of the IP. They took a trash IP because Genesis isn't great. I kind of enjoy the movie as a guilty pleasure, but it really isn't good. It's better than a lot of other Terminator movies. And they made a fun dungeon crawl game. The miniatures are great. It feels like Terminator. And ever since I saw the first few minutes of Terminator 2, I always wanted a full film set in that world. Yeah, Terminator Salvation, you let me down. It was like, where are the damn pulse rifles, all the cool stuff I saw? I know it's like 10 years later, but I wanted something cool in the future. So I finally got to do it.
I don't even remember that game. That's why it's not even in my top 10. Because I was like,
Terminator's not your thing. Well, it's my thing. So I wanted to make sure that it got onto the list.
Okay, what about your number 9?
My number 9, I don't know if it's higher up on your list, but it was a surprise for us, and I wanted to make sure that we discuss it, which is Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade.
Now, I have fun playing the game, but it's definitely not in my top 10. Like you said, it might have made my top 20 if I had one, but definitely not the top 10.
Yeah, so that made my top 10 list because we had a lot of fun playing the game, and as much as I feel that Board Game Boogie is more thematic, this took a semi-cooperative game and made it work and really brought to life that aspect of the TV series, me being a Cowboy Bebop fan that I'd sort of forgotten about, and just made it a lot of fun because we're working together, we're taking a few jabs at each other, but if we, don't work together to make sure that we actually capture everyone and defeat Vicious, well, it's just not going to go well for the crew of the Bebop. And I really like the way that the game was developed, put together, the card quality, the dual layer player boards, everything about the production was nice. I think it's just a great addition to anyone's collection. Even if they don't like Cowboy Bebop, it's a fun deck builder in the style of Legendary. So yeah, I made my list because I had a lot of fun and it was a big surprise. I really didn't think we were going to like it. And then my number 8 is one that I don't know even made your list. It probably should. You might actually let me get this one on the list at the end of the day, is Red Rising from Stonemaier Games.
So it didn't make my list because I don't know the IP.
That's still a great game.
But I agree with Jayson. It is a great game. But like I mentioned, the reason I put games on my top 10 list for these IPs are because I feel like they are fantastic adaptation of the movies or the books or of the license, and they're great games. They're lots of fun to play. So there are other games that we have. I'm looking at one behind your head. I love Windspan. It's not an IP. It's a great game, but it's not IP. Yeah. So for me, Red Rising, I can't comment as to whether it's a good adaptation because I have no idea what it is.
It works the cast system of the books very well, and I really didn't know the IP until I actually got the game, and that inspired me to read the books, and I've been enjoying the books. That being said, you could definitely skin this game system with another IP, but it definitely brings you into the world of Red Rising. The art's fantastic, the components are fantastic. I love all of the little touches and details, like the art on the back of the board. It really makes me feel like I'm in that world with the cast system. Now, there's whole other aspects of the books that it doesn't even touch, and it really focuses a lot on adapting elements of the first book and kind of sort of expanding them out a little bit more. But I really like what the game brought to the table. I love how quickly and easy it is to play, and just had a lot of fun with it. So not to make my list, but because it's not the best adaptation possible of the IP, it definitely didn't make it higher than that.
Okay, so now I'm going to give my next two. So I'm hoping it's higher on your list, actually, or maybe it's at the same position. My number 7 is Call to Adventure.
Which one, though? There was two. Name of the Wind or Stormlight Archive?
I put the original.
The original doesn't count because there's no IP for the original.
Okay, well.
So talk about why you put it on your list, because it's still a valid discussion point, but it's just not an IP game.
Well, it was on the list of games that Jayson gave me.
It was not on the list of games that it was Call to Adventure, Stormlight Archive, and Name of the Wind. But, I mean, the Name of the Wind is an expansion, so you can technically turn Call to Adventure into an IP game. So, like I said, I think this might not make the final top 10 cut, but it's definitely worthy of a discussion because she definitely picked the best version of the game. So I'm not gonna argue with her on that. The original Call to Adventure blows the other two out of the water, unless you're a huge Stormlight fan. You can check out our review if you want more on that.
Well, I just really enjoy this game. It's a game that has cooperative and competitive mode, but that I insist on playing the competitive mode because the cooperative just doesn't work for me, even though I love cooperative games. This game is just a lot of fun. We've played it a ton. And we've played it with people that are not huge board game players, and they still enjoyed it. And I just think it's a lot of fun. You get a much bigger kick out of the story that you build at the end with your cards, or that you can make with your cards.
Well, that's why I think it's worthy of a conversation for an IP game, because you can almost take Call to Adventure and adapt it to any fantasy IP. That's literally the way the game system was built. The first expansion is The Name of the Wind, based on the books by Patrick Rothfuss. And I just realized that we hadn't been talking about all of the designers, actually. So, yes, a bunch of those will have popped up, but I do remember the ones for Call to Adventure. It is by Brotherwise Games, and it is it's Johnny O'Neill, and I'm drawing a blank on his brother's name. So, yes, those names will be popping up on the screen here. And I really like what Call to Adventure does. I think it's interesting that it can actually be adapted to any IP. You could even make a sci-fi version of this. You could have a fantastic Call to Adventure like Star Wars, building your own Jedi character, doing different trials and things like that. So I think it's really cool. I liked how they were able to adapt it to the Stormlight Archive and then bring in The Name of the Wind. I just feel that, as Julie mentioned, the cooperative element isn't really strong. That's one of the reasons why both the Stormlight Archive and The Name of the Wind did not make my list.
Somehow I have a feeling that one's not going to make the top 10 list.
No, I don't think so.
So, my number 6, Reckoners.
The Reckoners? Well, you know what? With regards to the Reckoners, we're going to talk about it in a little while.
Okay, then.
Yes.
So, what are your number 7 and number 6?
So, my number 7, and I think this is probably way higher up on your list, or you might have forgotten about the game. If you did, we're definitely putting this on the list, especially because Call to Adventure is not going to be there, is Horrified.
Yeah, I didn't put it.
You did not put Horrified on the list. I am so surprised that you did not.
This is one of these games that Jayson says I love more than I love.
You're the one that was like, we have to play this with my parents, and we've had a lot of fun playing it. It's so easy to play. It's one of the best family games that we have. This is also by Ravensburger and designed by Prospero Hall. Yay, save myself some editing work.
So why is it on your list?
Like I said, fantastic game, easy to play. It's probably the only game I've actually taught people literally by just giving them the reference card.
That is definitely easy
card,
to play.
like just give them the reference card and say, we're playing the game.
But I mean, it's
all the monsters feel thematic to the Universal monsters. The Frankenstein and the Bride, you have to keep them apart. It was great. The Invisible Man, you have to make him visible. You've got to get rid of all of Dracula's hiding places. Like, it took the Universal monster movie theme and put it perfectly into a game. Even so much so that the villagers, and this is random by the way, I don't know why, but they always do dumb things and get eaten by monsters the moment they show up on the board. I'm like, don't go into that alley. Dracula's there, and that's what they do. And somehow it's in the game when it's not supposed to be. So I just really love Horrified, and I think it's one of the best cooperative games that we have, especially for like any level of gamer. So I had to make my list.
Okay.
And I think we're going to be talking about this one later. It's Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yeah, much later. I'm surprised. You surprised me. Really? We spent an entire week of vacation at a cottage playing that, like, hours a day.
It's one of those games where it goes up and down. It almost made the top 5, but I think it could be because I'm a little bit hyped because we have an expansion coming for one of the games that, took its spot. It could have been a little different order. So we'll talk about it once we get back from the break. And one thing I do want to talk about before we go into our top 5 is our honorable mention. I know we were supposed to talk about earlier, just kind of slipped our mind as we were going here.
Well, that just slipped my mind. I don't have an honorable mention.
I think I do have an honorable mention because it was removed from both of our lists, and that's Cthulhu Death May Die.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's an honorable mention, the game is fantastic. We love the game. The emergent storytelling for the game is awesome. It's just we excluded it from the criteria since we're not using the Cthulhu IP. But absolutely fantastic game. If you like chucking dice, if you like fighting monsters, you're going to have so much fun. I've never had more fun killing my own character in a game and then rooting for everyone else to hopefully win. And then when we finally won the scenario, everyone's high-fiving. They're like, that was a great move. The sacrifice play worked. Like, we're just so engaged, and those emergent stories are a lot of fun. So Cthulhu Death May Die, if you like the IP and if you like fun dice checking games, check it out. Anything to add, Julie?
Nope.
All right, so we are going to drink some water, freshen up, and we'll be back with our top 5. All right, we are back, and we're going to be going through our top 5. Then we'll take one last break where we're going to review our list, and then we're going to battle it out. Well, have a nice friendly conversation as we put together our final list for the channel. So, Julie, what is your number 5?
I think you're going to start. You're going to do your number 5.
I can do my number 5? Well, you're surprised that something shifted in my list, but my number 5 is The Reckoners.
There you go. So it wasn't, mine was number 6. It's number 5 for you.
Yeah, the reason why we decided to hold off is because, it's a different section of the video. You're wondering why Imperial Assault didn't make the top 5. Well, I'm getting really juiced up about The Reckoners right now. We've got the Steel Slayer expansion coming, which fleshes out the other 2 books. We're supposed to have the Apocalypse Guard book. I'm a big fan of the books, which is going to be the latest book from Brandon Sanderson set in an alternate universe that's related to The Reckoners, which is going to be pretty cool. So I've just been involved in this IP, and it kind of, just bumped up the list over Star Wars. Also, I just haven't been too happy with the Star Wars IP overall lately, so that let it fall a little bit down the list. But I do love the game. But
I love I really enjoyed this game. We've played it many, many times. This is one of the games that pre-Little Man, on some evenings after work, I'd say, hey, yeah, why don't we play this game? Why don't we play The Reckoners? So we haven't played it in quite some time now. But
it's been probably about 6 or 7 months. It's beat other games back to the table.
It's been more than that.
No, because we covered it maybe a little bit longer than that, but we covered it not too long ago.
You didn't say who the designers were.
It's published by Nabu Games, and I'm drawing a blank, so it'll be right up here somewhere.
One of the things that sticks with me that I love is the fact that he's, a little steel man.
Yeah, we got the premium components, so we've got painted miniatures, we've got metal. Everything's metal because, it's steel heart, and he turns everything into steel. So it's just really cool. We have the steel heart, like the pewter steel heart
And
miniature.
see, and this is an exception to my rule because I don't know the IP at all, but I can kind of feel it when I'm playing this game. I don't know anything about it, but I feel like I know.
It definitely feels like you're normal people trying to take down superheroes. Well, heroes that have really become villains, essentially. There are no heroes, they're just villains. It's just a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun introducing it to other people, and it's also one of those games that is really simple to teach and play. And really looking forward to the expansion. Like I said, that's why I kind of crept into the top 5 instead of Imperial Assault.
Yeah, I still don't understand that one, but it's okay because I know that my number 5 is not on your list.
Okay.
You could have thrown a bone same way I put Power Rangers in my top 10. Can you guess? It's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Yeah, that'll never make a top 10 list for me.
I love playing.
Can't do it as much as I love the game.
I love the game. We have quite a few Harry Potter games, and Jayson complains about the size of the deck when you get to the later years.
This big.
But it really is so thematic for me, and it really feels like we're in Hogwarts, and we've had so much fun playing the game. We've played it multiple times. We've played it with my parents at Christmas and played through all 7 years on Boxing Day. We've started playing it with other friends that play the game. We've played it. We played the expansion. I cannot not have it on my list. I love Harry Potter. We love the series. So it is definitely an amazing adaptation. Does it have a few problems? Yes. It does not deserve to not be on the top 10. It deserves to be on the top 10.
Well, I figured it was going to be on your top 10 list, and I never said I would keep it off of the Dice and Dragons list.
There will be
just can't put it on my
power struggle between Power Rangers and Harry Potter. But we will talk about that later. Obviously, this conversation is going to be happening off camera, but you'll see at the end where it does end up. But this game will be on the top 10 list.
Yeah, so for me, as Julie mentioned, there's just a few things that I don't love about the game. Just the game length is a real problem for me, especially partially due to the Hogwarts deck and just some terrible combinations of villains that can come up. And sometimes it just feels like you're chasing the 8 ball. You're behind and you're trying to get ahead. And that's just one of the reasons why it will never make a top 10 list for me. Excuse me, but I do love playing it. We have a lot of fun. The deck building is very simple. It's very easy to teach. As the game starts off very easy and gets more and more complex with the years. So it is a fantastic adaptation. And if you're a fan of Harry Potter, this is probably the best Harry Potter game.
I think it is.
Death Eaters Rising is close, but it's between those two depending on what you like. If you don't like deck building, get Death Eaters Rising.
Well, there's also the one that was like being in a class.
Well, that's good, but I think the other two
it was just a little too childish. Okay, so it's that was my number 5. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth.
I don't know what you were like. You must have been in a bad mood when you made your list. Yeah, we're talking about that way later.
Hey, it's on my list. It's at the top.
Yeah, okay.
There's some games we played since that made it in.
Shh. We'll talk about it later. Okay, my number 4 poor number 4 has fallen down. You're staring at my list, cheater.
I knew it was coming.
Legendary X-Files. Now, years ago when we started playing games, this was my number 1, and it was the game that I compared everything to. And, I'll be honest, I love Legendary Encounters. There's a couple different ones that I really like. I had to have an X-File game in my IP. Like I'm an X-File. There cannot be one. Could it have been a little bit lower on the list? Maybe, but I just...
Ooh, that's progress, ladies and gentlemen. That's progress.
I love the Legendary Encounters game system. I love playing it. We don't have time to play it. There's just so much other stuff that we have to do as content creators and as parents of a young child.
Yeah, there's like 7 p.m. game nights where typically Legendary Reckoners and stuff would come out are no longer existent.
No. Well, for a little bit. I mean, until he gets old enough to do his own thing. But, we do this gig on, as a side job. We both have careers.
Well, it's a job? We get paid?
No. We do this for fun. So that being said, it's a great game. I mean, the Legendary Encounters games are great. I love the adaptation to have. Like, I love being able to play, Scully and Mulder and seeing all the characters come out, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's my favorite version of it. But I mean, I love Legendary Marvel as well. We played that.
But that's different than Encounters slightly, but it's mostly the same.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite deck building game. I think. I mean, you're going to start arguing with me that we have new deck builders that have.
I don't know. I don't think it's your favorite deck building game. I think it's your favorite. I'd say maybe a classic style deck building game because she does love Aeon's End.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think it's a definite, if you love deck builders, definitely you have to have it in your collection, especially if you're an X-File. If you're an X-File and you don't know what a deck builder is, you should still get this and try it. If you like board games, I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's a great adaptation.
I enjoy the game. I think the game is fun. I like the Legendary Encounters system. I think the X-Files system works a little bit better than the Firefly one. I do like Firefly, Legendary Encounters Firefly a lot, and just all of the Legendary games. We have quite a few, actually. Some of them we got just because they were on sale, and the price we got them at could not have them in our collection. That had a little bit of variety. And so far, every Legendary game has done a really good job of adapting the IP. And I can completely understand why you've got Legendary Encounters X-Files. We have the old IDW X-Files game, and I think we've played that once and it hasn't come back out to the table because it's first problem, it's a one versus many. Second problem, there's some serious design flaws in that game.
It is definitely the best. I mean, Jason's been nice. He's bought every X-File game that he found, and this one is the one that gets played.
Yeah, well, I think the IDW one is still going to stick around, but there's definitely one that's on its way out. And it was fun playing Mulder and Scully. It feels like X-Files. The encounters are good. The theme is there. The board is got this a little bit of an eerie feel. And if you are a fan of the X-Files, you should definitely look at picking this one up.
So what's your number 3?
My number 3, we're now talking about it. It is Dune Imperium. So that is why it got. That's why Lord of the Rings is where it is. I have a lot of fun with this game, despite the fact that Julie tends to beat me mercilessly when we play this game.
I'm sorry. We have played how many hours of Lord of the Rings?
How many hours of Lord of the Rings? Yes, we played a ton of hours of Lord of the Rings. And I will probably let you get it in at the top slot. But I love Dune. Like, when it comes to books, rereading the books, I'm so eager and stoked for the movie. I love this franchise. I love this adaptation. I like the way that you've got the secrets, not the secrets, the entry cards. I like the way the combat works. I like the fact you have to work with the Spacing Guild. I like the asymmetric powers.
We barely played this game. How can it be in your number 3 spot?
How can it be in my number 3 spot? Because I always want to play it. It's one of those things, like you said, we don't have time to play it. I would play this more. This would be a game that if we had regular game night, I'm sure it'd hit the table all the time. I love this game, and I love this IP.
Well, and that's why it's your top 10. That is your top 10 list.
Yes, it's not our top 10 list. I just think they've done a masterful job of putting this game together. And I didn't think it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be more like the classic Dune game. And don't get me wrong, I've never played it. But that game is long, not friendly to play at 2 players. This one played incredibly well at 2 players. The Atoma was really easy to use and just annoying enough that you had to take them into consideration with regards to your plans.
Look, I had fun playing the game, but I'm not running to play it again.
No, but then again, you don't love the IP like I do.
No.
And I would have to say, Dune is probably an IP I love more than Lord of the Rings by just a little bit.
It made it to my top 10. Made it. But definitely not in the top 5.
Well, look, Lord of the Rings is in the top 5. You pretty much know what my top 2 are. I think our number 1 is going to probably be in the undisputed right now.
Yeah, you don't know.
Or maybe our 1 and 2 will not be disputed.
So my number 3. It's our time to talk about Star Wars Imperial Assault. We have played this game so many hours. I think your disrespect of the current iterations of Star Wars is negatively impacting the love that we had for this. You love the fact that I wanted to be a Wookiee. You loved it when we enjoyed everything about this game. So why is it not in your top 5? I don't understand it.
Well, I'm going to bring up something that you mentioned in our Descent Legends of the Dark review. Descent Journeys in the Dark, before Legends, and Imperial Assault are largely the same game. There's some few differences, some few improvements. I am having so much fun with the thematic story like Legends of the Dark right now. I want a Star Wars version like that. I really want them.
Yeah, but the version we have, we loved. We have enjoyed, and there's so many campaigns left to play.
We've actually played through most of the campaigns that they're going to put in the app. I think the other thing is me knowing what's going on with the franchise. They're not making any more digital app campaigns.
Okay, but it's a little, I find it, I'm sorry, disingenuous on your part to not have it in your top 5, given the amount of love that this game has had and the amount of time that we've played with it.
It's been up there, but the Reckoners has been up there as well. We've taken the Reckoners to play with more people. Like, I'm looking at also just introducing
we also played Star Wars Imperial Assault I was wearing a Leia sweatshirt and you were wearing Star Wars, and we were sitting around the table playing against he's changed his name. He's no longer the beer bard now. He's no longer the cyber bard. And that Hail Mary play where we had everybody else around the table rooting for me to get that Hail Mary, and I got it. And he sat there in complete disbelief that it was even possible. So many great memories. When a game has that many good memories, you have to have it in the top 5.
Well,
I'm not going to argue with you about the bottom 5, whatever. But top 5, you have to have this game in the top 5.
Like I said, I have a little more hype for the Reckoners right now. It almost made it. I put the Reckoners up top. You know, it's when we're making the list. It's all about the feels, and I'm feeling the Reckoners right now.
Okay, so, I mean, you've given me your top 3. If Power Rangers is not your number 2, we got a big problem.
No, it is my number 2.
Okay. I'll remind people it was my number 10, and I only did it because I really love my husband and I know how much he loves it, because I could have let it out left it off the list the same way he left, some of my games off.
Hey, the one I'll give you, because in terms of like overall positive experiences, would be Legendary Encounters X-Files. I wanted to get Terminator Genesis on there because of how well they did adapting something in an IP that means a lot to me. I probably could have, I'm not even going to try to get it on the final list, by the way. Like, don't worry about that. I could have probably switched Legendary X-Files to that. But the reason why I didn't give you Harry Potter is for as many good times as we had with it, there were a few really bad times that we had with the game too. And when the game broke down, it broke down hard, and it was long, and it was like 3 hours.
Okay, we're not bashing Harry Potter right now. You're talking about why you love Power Rangers.
Yes, but I'm telling you why I left it off the list. You brought that into play. You started that conversation. So in any case, why do I love the Power Rangers game? Because this game is a perfect adaptation of the Power Rangers IP. The Rangers each feel like the Rangers they're supposed to be. There are a ton of different Rangers, lots of different ways you can build the decks. You even have incorporations of Tommy's Master Morpher from an original series to have Legendary Ranger mode. You've got all the different villains that feel incredibly thematic, and most importantly, you have to work together as a team, as Rangers, in order to win. And I love the cooperation element. I love the fact you do have to talk strategy, but there's no like one person making all decisions. Decisions are very basic. It's like, do we need 2 or 3 Rangers here? Do we need all the Rangers to defeat the boss? And it really lets everyone play the cards that they want to play. And as all the Rangers are asymmetric, no one's going to be like, play this card, play this card, play this card. I might suggest to Julie, for example, if she's got the big power axe, save it for the boss and not the minions. But I mean, that is the extent of like what we're doing when it comes to telling each other what to do. And it is fun. I remember when Julie pulled off an insane combo as Trini, just laughing with glee. She kept rolling her dice, just stab, 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 stab. And I'm like, did you just kill everyone by yourself so I didn't even need to be here? You just defeated all the putties? She's like, yeah, I did it. And it's had a lot of fun with the game. They keep putting out new content with the game. And so far, all the new content feels fresh. However, there were all content is not made equal. The Shattered Grid expansion, besides the enemies, was a little bit of a disappointment, but I'd say that everything else we really enjoyed. The 6 Rangers feel cool. Don't play them all as a team. They're not that much fun. The Zeo Rangers were a ton of fun, and the Rangers in space were really cool as well. So we've got more Rangers coming. I really enjoy the game.
More Power Rangers?
Yeah, we still haven't even played the last set that showed up.
Okay. So yeah, now you understand how excited he is and why I knew it was going to be on the list. So, based on this, I'm thinking I'm not talking about my number 2 right now. But my number 2 is Marvel Champions. So
you figured it out. That is my number 1 on the list.
Well, we were supposed to reveal our number 1s, but I guess we're not going to reveal number 1s.
Well, there's no point at this point. We can wait, but
so we're going to switch it up a little bit because my number 2 is your number 1, and my number 1 is Lord of the Rings: Journeys of Middle-earth.
So let's go with Marvel Champions.
So we're going to talk about Marvel Champions first.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we have played all of the content, and
we're behind now. But to give everyone an idea on how much we love this game, they've announced that the Mad Titan Shadow and all future releases are delayed. We have Mad Titan Shadow now coming from the UK because prices are supposed to go up in North America, probably about $5 to $10 US. So it's going to cost us about $10 more US to ship it. So I decided to ship it.
You're hearing it at the same time as me, folks.
Yeah, so bringing in the new latest expansion. And we're just behind Drax and Venom, and we just haven't had the time to play recently, but I love this game.
I have to say, it is, I mean, we one of the rules we had going into this top 10 list is there could only be one game from
we forgot to mention that in the rules, so I'll fix that in editing.
So there could only be one game per IP. We have a ton of Marvel content. We have Marvel Legendary. We've had, I can think of Marvel United. We have Marvel 5-Minute Dungeon. We have, what other Marvel content? I'm trying to think.
Thanos Rising is the other one. Avengers Infinity War. We had the Marvel Strike Teams, but because they never put out the co-op mode, that left. We've got plenty of Marvel games.
So that being said, Marvel Champions is definitely a lot of fun. I'm not going to argue, position 1 or position 2. We'll argue that off camera. It is definitely the best Marvel IP we have.
Yeah, and I think it's also the best one I made number 1 for me it's the best 2-player game we have. For us to sit down and play in our current situation. Another situation probably would have been maybe something else, a longer campaign game, but those are more difficult to play. We can take this out on any night. It's going to take us about an hour, 90 minutes. We know the system. We can learn new characters, have a different experience every time. There's a lot of variability. There's build your own decks, which we launched into with Galaxy's Most Wanted, and that was really cool. So I just love everything about the game, and I love the way they're expanding it. I love the fact that everyone feels different, and they also feel like they're Marvel characters. Nebula's coming soon, so that's going to be really cool to check her out. So this is the best Marvel game. Some people might like United, and that one's definitely a little bit more family friendly, but it really didn't scratch the itch for us. The characters didn't feel distinct enough. It was too many similarities. And in this one, it's all over the place. And I think with regards to what you'll be doing, and I don't think we've had any character that neither one of us really like besides Miss Marvel.
Yeah, we don't really love playing her. I was disappointed with her a little bit.
Yeah, she's the only one out of all the content that we have, and the Wrecking Crew was just sort of...
The thing is, the fun thing about it is each superhero has its own advantages and disadvantages based on their superpowers, like in the movies, and they're better off against certain villains, and so, when we reviewed Doctor Strange, I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to want to ever play anything else. And since then, others have come out. I'm like, oh, they're really cool. But you have to pick, the right characters against the villains. So it is an awesome game. There's no denying whether it's, number 1 or number 2. We love it. I think, and is there something else you want to add? I want to talk about...
I think it's just a great overall game, and it fits our current lifestyle a little bit more than your number 1.
So my number one is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth. And I'm a little upset at Jayson because we have talked about this game so much. And I've talked about Descent, and Descent is not in this conversation because it's not a licensed game.
What upset at me? It's number 4.
I'm upset because we have played, as soon as this game has come in, every time there's a new campaign that becomes available, a new expansion that's out, we play it.
Yeah, we kind of drop everything else. And
we've played it with a 6-month-old. I've played it nursing the 6-month-old while playing the game, with him asleep on the nursing pillow. We have played through the entire campaigns normally within a couple of days.
Yeah, about a week, which is impressive.
And you reiterate all the time that it is the game that has logged the most hours at this table.
Yes,
or at any of our gaming tables.
And I absolutely love the game. That's why it's in my top 5. Perhaps it's because I've just been jonesing to play Dude Imperium more and the movie's coming out. I really love that.
It's not going to get to the table.
Yes, I know we are too busy with other stuff. And I like Descent, Legends of the Dark more. And Dude Imperium's not going to knock it off. But we have an expansion coming, so hopefully we'll get it back soon.
So Lord of the Rings, though, definitely does an excellent job of adapting. You are living, you're
living the books, not the movies. This is more the books than anything else. Fantasy Flight Games has the book license, so it's all original art and everything like that, which is cool. Don't worry about any movie stills.
It's exploration. You've got the app driving it, and there's nothing I don't like about that game.
There's a few things that I would potentially tweak, but the overall experience is unparalleled. And I think the main reason why it's not necessarily
that's why I have a bone to pick. It should be at least in your top 3.
The characters. Why Marvel beat Lord of the Rings is the characters. And the fact of the matter is, it's gotten better. And just in that core box, if you're playing the game without Bearvor's Pathfinder, you are shooting yourself in the foot. The Pathfinder class is just so good because of movement across the board. So far, all subsequent expansions have included classes with sprint and movement, which have been really cool because you don't have to play the Pathfinder. So they've really addressed that issue going forward. I'm really excited for the new expansion. Part of me is it's coming soon, and I'm we've got so much other stuff to do. I'm what are we going to be doing?
So one of the things I've been thinking is that little man's going to have to learn how to play this game with us. So we've been playing a lot of Descent, which is underneath on our vaulted. It's still there right now.
Yeah, we've got a time limit now. New expansion for Lord of the Rings is October, by the way.
If you follow us on social media, and I'm sure Jason's going to have those links down below, you could actually see the little man helping us play Descent and rolling dice. And sometimes I like to take his rolls more than mine because he's been rolling like a boss. So he definitely loves the iPad. So maybe because there's so much involvement of the iPad in the Lord of the Rings.
Well, even when he was younger, when he would wake up, he'd often sit on you and try to poke at the iPad. And I get the feeling he's going to have to help us out with this game. Look, I'm not saying it's not going to make it combined in our top 2. I love Doom.
Okay, folks.
I love this game. This game is our most played game. There was no way it wasn't making it into my top 5.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to record our debate. We're going
to record some of the debate. It's got to be fun.
No.
Yes, why not? It's going to be great.
No.
I don't think there's going to be nearly as much argument as you expect. We're recording the debate. No. That's the way it works on the Top 10 show.
No, we've had the debate. We're going to regroup. We're going to make our list.
Fun. People want to see us hashing it out.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
You really don't.
Yes, I do.
So we'll be back with... actually, we have to recap what we said we were going to do.
No, we'll come back with our recap, and then we're going to break down our overall top 10 list. I still think we need to hash it out.
No, not going to happen.
Why she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to show her teeth. And we're back, so we are going to recap our list. And
Recap? Apparently he's from down south.
I did not say it that bad.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not. You just heard it like that. In any case. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. We're going to go into our recap of our list. Don't worry, while we're going through this, you will have it pop up on your screen as well. So, Julie, give them your list.
So I'm going to do 10 through 1 like we did it. So number 10 was Power Rangers, Heroes of the Grid, because I love my husband. Number 9, Dune Imperium. Number 8, Back to the Future's Back in Time. Number 7, Call to Adventure, which we'll call... Future. Okay. Call to Adventure, which we said would have to be Shadowlight.
Yes, there are licensed versions of the game, though, so she was going in the right direction.
Number 6, Reckoners. Number 5, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. I was having trouble with Potter. Number 4, Legendary Encounters X-File. Awesome game. Number 3, Star Wars Imperial Assault, which we had quite the discussion about. As well as Marvel Champions in number 2. And in number 1, Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth.
So I'm going to give you my list. So my number 10 is Terminator Genesis Rise of the Resistance. We then have Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade coming in at number 9. Number 8 is Red Rising. Number 7, we have Horrified. Number 6 was Star Wars Imperial Assault. Hopefully they make a new Star Wars game like Legends of the Dark, because I really, really like the way this new app works. And then number 5, The Reckoners. Could also have been number 6, but I was just feeling it for those of you that watched the entire video. Number 4 is Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. That one might have been higher on a different day. I think my hype for Dune is just really, really up there because number 3 is Dune Imperium. Number 2, probably one of the second largest game collections we have, is Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. And coming in at number 1 is Marvel Champions.
So we're going to give you now our Dice and Dragons top 10 list of IP games. And we'll give you a little bit of the insight of the little debate that we had. It wasn't that big of a debate. Nobody
I thought it would have been good on camera because it wasn't that much of a heated debate. But there were some sparks flying.
Yeah, but we still have all our hair and nobody lost a tooth. So we're good.
I didn't? I don't know. You got a mean right hook.
I didn't pull any of your hair. There's nothing to pull.
Hey, I like this look. I can pull off Morpheus if I want. I mean, there's a new Matrix, so maybe there'll be a new Matrix
and
skin.
he's not in it.
I know. No, he's not as good as he was in terms of like pulling off that part, though.
Okay, so number 10, he let me have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Hogwarts Battle.
We have played a lot of the game. It deserved to be on our list, just wasn't making mine.
So number 9, I let him have Red Rising because I agree that although I didn't put on my list because I don't know the IP, so I can't comment on whether it's a good adaptation. I have enjoyed playing the game. It is a good game. I just agree with what Jayson has said as well, that it could, one of the reasons it wasn't there for me is it could be reskinned as a lot of different IPs, but it was pretty good.
It's still a good use of the IP though.
So you want to do number 8 and number 7?
Well, number 8 is Horrified. I think Julie let me have that one real easily just because we've had a lot of fun with the game and how easy it is to teach. When I suggested it, number 7, she kind of just wrote it down. Wasn't too much of a debate then.
No, number 8. Number 7 went to...
Oh, sorry. 8 was Horrified, yes. Number 7, I gave her Legendary X-Files.
Why?
I enjoy the game. Legendary is not my favorite, but it is very important to her. It's one of the games that got us started on this entire collection that you see behind us, and it definitely deserved to be on our list.
For that reason, Power Rangers made it to our top 10 list in the 6th position.
I still think it should have cracked the top 5.
No.
She's just being stubborn there.
No. I mean, we have played a lot of the game. I just think that the top 5 really... are better games.
I don't know. I'm hoping that the new Rangers gets her all juiced up. I think if we were playing this after Zeo, it might have been a little higher because she had a lot of fun with the Zeo Rangers.
So our top 10 licensed games, Dice and Dragons top 10 licensed games, number 5.
The Reckoners.
We kind of had to put it. So what gave us our top 5 are the games we had in common. And basically they got ranked by their average position.
Yeah, and Power Rangers was in common, but it just ended up not quite making the cut.
Yeah. So Reckoners in number 5. Number 4 would be Dune Imperium. Now, it was low on my list. However, we do have it in common, and we have played it a lot. We do enjoy playing it. I like to tease Jayson because he loves the IP, and I really couldn't care less about it. So,
wait till the movie. I think you'll be a big fan. In October, it's coming. 1 month. We're gonna get you on board the Dune train. Choo choo.
Okay, then. Number 3 is Imperial Assault. Now, it should have been higher, but it was a lot lower on Jason's list. So
it shouldn't have been higher. It wasn't even higher on your list.
No, I agree.
It's exactly what it is. Now she's just arguing for the sake of arguing, okay?
The number 2 and number 1 position were very clear based on our discussions. They shouldn't be a surprise. Basically, I agree with Jayson. Lord of the Rings can go in second place because we just, really love the Marvel game. And it really, as he said, just suits our game style the most and, what we can play.
And if we got to talk about what IP we probably spent the most time with is out of all these IPs, it's definitely Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, if we had, in fairness, if we could have had more than one game for IP, there would have been more than one Marvel game on this list, likely. So it's only fair that Marvel Champions, I almost said Marvel United. Yeah, and Marvel United is not on our top 10 list, as you just heard. So Marvel Champions, number 1, Dice and Dragons IP licensing.
And that's a lot of consistency because I think that was the game that made our number 1 top 10 list a couple years ago when we did our first one, and now it's at our top 10 licensed game. So clearly we like our licensed games, and I think Journeys in Middle-earth was up there as well because Fantasy Flight Games has yet to disappoint with the expansions, and we've got another one coming in October. So we got some other reviews and stuff to do, but we got to get to what's in the table
Before
here.
that, I think the most fun with this, I mean, we've had fun bringing you this list, but I think one of the most fun I have is hearing how you feel about our top 10 list. Did you have any reactions like I had or Jayson had when you heard some of the games that are our top list? What's your top 10? Does it match up with ours? Like, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. We love interacting with you guys there, so let us know. And at the same time, you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you guys.
You can see the mom coming through. She just told you to comment twice, say it multiple times.
Okay, my line is like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. So if I told you to comment twice, it's because I really want you to comment.
Yes, and take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures from all of these games, you can definitely find, I think all of them are on the feed, actually. I don't think there's anyone missing, so take a look there. If you're also looking to buy any of these games, take a look at our link to multizone.ca. That's also in the video description. Click that link to get 10% off your next purchase, and a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. So it's a great way for you to support the channel as well as get some new games. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me, we're going to change this up a little bit. In front of me is going to be a link to our review and how to play of Marvel Champions, giving it the number 1 spot. It was also on my list. And in front of Julie, we will have our link to our review and how to play of, do you want it to be Journeys in Middle-earth or the latest expansion?
No, I think we have to have our top 10 list.
Our top 10 list? You want it to be the top 10 list?
I do.
So the number 1 game in the top 10 list? All right, so that's how we're going to do it. We're going to have the link to our top 10 list. It'll be a playlist, so you can check out all the different top 10s we've done, starting off with the original one that was done probably, about a year ago now. So actually, they're popping up now because we've been talking for so long.
That's right. And this is, in September. Check us out in December for games that we recommend for the holiday season, as well as at some point in December or maybe early January, our top 10 games of 2021.
Yes, these are reviews. They're based on our scores. So even if we don't like what we gave them at the time, they're going to stand. This is impartial. There will even be a list. You can see what all the scores were for all the games. And it's not fun to say, but so far this year, we actually have maybe enough content for at least the top 5 worst games we've played. So you'll definitely see that in early January for sure. So, and on that note,
I think my drink is now warm.
We're going to grab our drink and grab our best friend.
And I think we're going to have to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. I don't even know if there's anything left in that now.